can turn yourself that way if you want.
I don't want to.
Or you could turn yourself that way.
This is going to be horrible.
All I'm gonna be
It's
looking
alright.
at is
It's really
Chris.
pretty setting. I like all the fall stuff.
It's very fall.
I like it.
It's going away.
All right,
Yeah.
so how are we getting started, Josh?
We already started.
Hey, we have started.
Okay.
So we could talk about everything chronologically, because I think Kingdom Come is going to be the first one on the album, and it's the name of the album. So, the thing that stands out is that when we were trying to come up with a album project for the last one, it was actually Power that Kingdom Come was first pitched, because I was putting those ideas together, and I sent the chorus and the verse. I still have that recording too, first verse and chorus, and I sent it to everybody, and they're like, "No, we don't like that." So I was like, "Okay, well that's it."
Wrong time on
And so we recorded the entire album for Power and everything that went with that. But then years later, we were coming back to it, and everybody said, "Okay," because whenever we do a CD project.
Okay, so wait, that's the key. It's years later. See,
It is years
you had
later,
matured more, so then we like.
Well,
No,
yeah.
no.
To
Like
be
the
fair,
I
No,
didn't really change it that much. I just
to be fair, there
moved your
was
eyes
some editing and some changes that
To,
were.
Oh,
to be
yeah.
fair, we were needing 8 original songs right away, and that's why you guys revisited it.
Well, and whenever
No.
whenever a new project is coming out, everybody who writes songs, like, it's not always to the songwriters, but it's, what are you guys listening to? It's just trying to get our heads together and see if a particular theme emerges. So, yeah, I changed 1 or 2 things. I said, "Hey, here's one that you guys didn't like. Do you like it now?" And I was like, "Yeah, we like that." I'm like, so wonderful. So,
Yeah,
me
actually,
and
you know,
and
we put a lot of prayer into what we're doing, and it really, Power was not the project for that song, even if we had liked it in its state that it's in now. But really, that song fits the whole theme of this project that we have just put together, and it's God's timing. So I'm excited about that.
Speaking
So
of
it's a
needing
really good
8
song.
original songs, there are 8 original songs on
yeah,
the album.
there are 8 songs plus
Lots
2.
of song. Well, yeah.
Plus 2.
Plus
So
2.
I didn't want anybody
But
to
8
think.
originals,
yeah.
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 So lots of
Yeah.
songwriters in the family, lots of new songwriters on this album that have
Yep.
not been on previous albums.
But it is 8 plus 2 though.
8 plus
10.
2.
Say that because
10
whenever-
songs
songs
on the
on the
project.
Because whenever we did Vocal Experience, there were only 8 songs,
Right.
and everybody's like, "Where's the rest of them?" Like, 8
We
is
just
enough.
only did 8.
Huh?
8 is enough. Yeah.
So Danielle's a songwriter on this album.
Yeah, well, kind of, but co-wrote one. It was kind of an accident. Like, I just wrote it in the shower. Just this chorus popped into my head.
You
out of
always hear
nowhere.
about people singing in the shower.
It's funny because
Not
we
very
recorded
many
it in the
people
shower.
write songs in the shower,
It recorded in
but
the shower.
Danielle has done it.
Yeah, just a couple of words, a little bouncy chorus popped in my head, so I thought I'd throw it out there, see what
Really?
people thought of it, and they actually liked it.
I know. I
The
remember 'cause you got out
overachiever.
of the shower, you came to me, and you're like,
Hey, what do you think of this?
What do you think of this? And I was like, that's catchy. I like it.
Yeah, it
How
was
did
really
how did we get to the point where Christian did the main vocals for it? Because whenever we were doing the tracking session, and I think we actually put out a video about the tracking session, whenever that happens, we're there singing what's called a scratch vocal. So you kind of sing along as the instrumentalists are playing. We're not going to use that track, but it's just for their benefit to see where you're going to.
Thankfully. They're
Yeah,
not good
exactly.
tracks.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, you're just kind of holding up the words and kind of randomly just singing it, and sometimes you make mistakes. But it was really during the tracking session that we start to determine, like, okay, maybe this is who needs to sing on that song. Like, I remember I was going to sing on Kingdom Come, and that was not going to work. It was way too high, and that's why ultimately I went with Danielle. And then other songs, we just stepped in and do. And
Right,
so,
but before the tracking session was the vocal arranging session, and I think that might
Yeah,
be
that's
where
even
it was
farther back,
determined-
yeah.
that might be where it was determined Christian
Yep.
would sing that song, because we all just kind of, you play around with a theme, and like if you're gonna sing a song about a man, then a woman doesn't really need to sing that. I don't know that we have
Well-
one like that on the album, but you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
words, you look at the words, and do they fit
Well,
the
John-
person and all
John
of that,
Rousey
you
did
know?
a really good job of helping us to arrange the songs, find a good key that kind of fit everybody's voices. And so when you're writing a song, you might have a particular voice or a person in mind, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that particular person or that voice that sings it, but that's just what you're thinking when you're writing.
Yeah.
And whenever it goes through the process and you get to the vocal arranger and what he's able to contribute to the project, then it starts to take a little bit more of a shape and a form of what the final is going to begin to sound like. And so John did an incredible job of putting that together, kind of giving a little bit of stylistic contributions to what we're doing, and then helping people's voices to fit. And because we're our family group, we wanted to include everybody as much as we could. And some songs fit the female voices, and some fit the lower male voice, and some the mid-range male voice.
Yeah.
So
that's
everybody has a feature on.
Well,
the song.
that's important too. I
Everybody
mean,
has a
we can think about the message of the song or how it sounds, but it's also important to pay attention, like after the initial test was done, where you just kind of sing the song and arrange it. Then you get asked, like, okay, how did that feel? Was that comfortable? Because if you're singing a song where you have to really reach for notes, or maybe it's too low and you just can't, it's just going to tear your voice up. You got to factor in that these are not just one-off songs. You're going to do them over and over and over again,
Right,
sometimes
right.
4 times a week.
Yeah, and I think
so-
I think folks that are even watching right now can identify with this. If you sing in
Are
church,
people watching right now?
there may be some people watching, but if they're watching right now, they can identify with this, because if they sing songs in church, there are certain songs that you sing that really doesn't fit your voice to sing the melody part. So it might get real high, and then you're just trying to look for a different note whenever it gets to that high part, and just try to blend in with everybody else. So it's really not a song that fits your voice for singing over and over again. So
I didn't realize people were watching. I mean,
that's kind of
we're
the way-
technically in the back of the bus right now. This is like most people don't know that this is what the back of the bus looks
Well,
like.
if nobody
more
is watching,
spacious
I
than you
think we
thought.
should stop what we're doing,
knew we
because
had
this
a
is a
back?
complete waste of
The
time.
engine block is
case.
behind the
Baptistry? Oh wow!
Yeah.
well, we do
Yeah.
baptisms behind
Fairly
behind the bus, and the engine
so
keeps
back to
it
the
warm.
project.
This
there's
is kinda
lots
ridiculous,
Of, lots
I
of
think.
steps to it. Like there's the writing. Actually, the writing process,
There's
the
steps to the
choosing
bus too, right?
songs,
So-
and then the vocal arranging, and then tracking. And sometimes tracking is more than one day.
Yeah.
And then several days of vocals in the studio. And
Wasn't
so
Tracking was actually
3 or
incredible.
4. It was tracking 3 or 4 days. It was a lot of days.
maybe two. I think it was two.
I think we had to
It was
cram
2
it
days,
into
yeah.
2 days.
Yeah, I
It
think we
was
got
crammed
it
into
into
two.
the
two.
pressure was on for
So,
the track.
Christian,
the
how
guy-
about, tell us about the tracking process, though, because we've mentioned it, and you haven't said anything yet. But it's like what?
It was pretty cool.
It's
though.
so like what exactly is the tracking process? Because this was
Yeah.
only our second time to be involved in one.
Right. So basically, what happens is you go in, and these crazy good musicians they look at their music, they get some simple instructions, and then they run through one pass. And then
Yeah.
that sometimes they run through 2 passes, but then they basically knock it out
Tell
all
them
in a
what
few
a
minutes.
pass is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Is it a forward or
Right.
a,
So they,
or
so
a
they just
all
they go. They
pass,
play
side
through.
lateral?
They play through the song one time, and then they'll go back and they'll make their edits and do whatever they need to do. But they just get it knocked out really quickly, and sometimes you'll get 4 or 5 done in one day.
They're so good
Yeah.
at what they do.
Right.
They are
Most of them,
amazing
yeah.
musicians. I just kind of sat there in awe of listening how they could create the sounds within the tracks that we were going to be singing through, and I'm like, this is incredible. This is really, really good.
Yeah, and at just how quick that it all takes place, because like Christian said, it's one pass, it's one time through. Now sometimes they'd go back and they'd do some other things, but to the caliber of music that's on this project, to think that they just said okay and go, and then by the time that 3 or 4 minutes was done, the track was almost all done. Like it just happens in real time. Their level
Yeah.
of talent is
And the
really
guys
amazing.
there are actually speaking in another language. They're using what's called the Nashville numbering system, and so
Mandarin
the-
Chinese.
That's
the
right.
one guy has tracked it all out. He had all of our songs ahead of time, and he wrote out all these numbers for all the other players. And then they would be trying to solidify everything at different places. He said, "Okay, we're going to change this to like a 5 over 3, or a 6 something minor or whatever." And so they just kind of throw all of them. We're just like here, like okay, and we just kind of have that look like we know what they're saying,
Smiling
but
nod.
we have no clue.
Well, I mean, you
Well, actually,
you
we
being
do
a
have a
golfer, you know all about what 5 over is. But other than that,
5
you
over
know.
3 though.
But yeah, so but you also have written
That was a low blow.
I think that's a fraction actually. What is
So-
5 over 3 is what?
5/3
60%? Is it? 60% of it?
1 2/3.
we're singers, not mathers. So
Mathers.
Mathitas,
We're not
he's
Yeah,
a student.
right.
We're not-
So speaking of like last minute edits, like you're talking about in the studio and the tracking,
Oh, yeah.
they'll go back and they'll do some edits because they'll listen and they'll think, oh, we can add something here, things like that. There's actually sometimes even edits in the songwriting in the studio.
Yeah, you'd think
That
it would all
happened.
be locked in by that point. That what by the time you get to the studio to record, the song is not
You'd
going to
think so.
change. But sometimes you're like,
You get in there and you start singing and you go, I don't like that lyric. It just
Yeah.
it doesn't land right, doesn't
Mm.
sound right. And so actually on one of our songs, our producer and Todd were outside the studio rewriting the verse real quick while we're in recording some of the other parts of the song.
yeah,
Yeah, well, that was during vocal recording, but even in the tracking sessions, we'd get to the end of a song after they had received them, and then you're like trying to put some finishing touches on it, and then like, for instance, the song "I Confess Jesus is Lord." I was like, what would it be like to try to end this thing by taking it from the one and go to like the relative minor and then bring it back up again. So I'm trying to explain to them what I'm thinking, and the whole time I'm trying to sing it to them, they're just writing down these numbers, and then they're passing it around, and then they go over there and they lay it down, and we're done.
Mhm.
And it was just incredible. So
Yeah.
that was awesome.
and I mean that. Speaking of that, that's one of the neat thing about working with Matt Browder, who we've known for many years, and then in the last few years really started to get to do a lot of events with the Browders, and then ultimately did this project with him being the producer. He thinks in music.
Right.
And people say like, "Oh yeah, I had a phone call with Matt Browder." I say, "Prove it. What song did he sing you?" And that's
he
and
eats
that's
it,
the way,
drinks
yeah.
it, lives it.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
he thinks about music. He's always thinking about new songs to write, and he'll sing you those lyrics of a song that he's writing in his head just at the drop of a hat. So I mean, from the beginning of the day till late at night, it'd be 1 o'clock. We've already been out of the studio for 4, 5, 6 hours, but he's coming up with stuff for the next day.
Yeah.
And I remember one of them was Kingdom Come. He was thinking about the opening. We wanted it to open big. I mean,
Right.
it opens the project, it's the beginning of the song, and the song itself is supposed to be big. And so between Matt and John Rousey and some of our, other input, we did put together, because we're listening to these really talented musicians, and we don't want to just relegate them to, the background. So like that, can we have a few seconds where they can just really play? And so I think Kingdom Come
Let them
opens with a
shine.
25, 30-second intro of just instrumentalists where they're going at it. And then we added more instruments on top of that, basically an entire orchestra. I don't know how many
Mhm.
pieces
Yeah.
it was,
It's
but
big
yeah,
though. It was really big.
it's a cool way to start the song. It's a cool way to start the project, to kind of, instead of coming out singing right from the first note, to kind of give it time to breathe and build anticipation and then really go into it. Yeah. I was
Mhm.
happy with how it came out.
Yeah, it's good
I was
because
too.
Matt is so detail oriented, and whenever you're we've done multiple projects through the years, and we've always done the best that we could provide, but to bring in a producer like Matt, who the Bible says don't despise the day of small things. So every little thing matters when you put something together, and we certainly have been able to tell the difference in this project because of the attention to the little things, the details that have really made this project shine like the sun. And I am so excited about
It
this.
also helps when you really enjoy hanging out with your producer too.
Yeah.
He's a lot of
and,
fun.
and one
Behind the
unique thing about Matt is his ability to make omelets. I mean,
Oh, that is
just
unique. Very
fantastic.
unique.
Fantastic.
What
Yeah.
we found out is that Matt is definitely not a cook.
Not a chef.
So tell,
Not a chef. No, he better stick to
Yeah,
music.
somebody tell
We'd all
the-
starve to death.
So,
what would the story
so
be?
one day at the studio, there's a little place across the street from the studio. We all needed to go grab a quick lunch, and it's a place where you choose like your ingredients. So if you want
Yeah,
a
kind of a
grilled cheese
breakfast place.
sandwich, or if you want an omelet, or if you want waffles or
Pancakes.
pancakes, whatever, and you sit around this table, and there's a big hot griddle in the middle, and so they give you the ingredients of what you want as you go.
Yeah,
through
it's
the
like a
line.
hibachi grill that you would go
You're
to,
making
except
it,
you're
yeah.
making your own.
You're making it. So
And
we're
it's
all
not
great,
Japanese.
man. We're like making our sandwiches and things that we want. Well,
He wants to
Matt
make an
wanted
omelet.
with everything in it, and then he
Which-
wanted like a waffle with all kinds of toppings and whatever.
Well,
Was
which-
it pancake.
Right.
Well,
from
he,
the-
toast?
he didn't know he
What's
was going to
French
have to
toast?
cook it. He didn't realize there's a griddle right in front of us, and he didn't know that's what that was for. So he ordered everything, and then it
Yeah.
came to him.
Well,
You didn't
right
know
from
how
the
to cook.
get-go, omelets are
Great
not the easiest
entertainment.
thing to make on a griddle. Like typically, it's easier to make an omelet with a pan that you can
Yeah,
pick
but
up
you know,
and stuff.
Matt didn't even know how to crack the egg. I mean, that's just how far
I couldn't
away
eat
from
my lunch
cooking
for
he
helping
was.
Matt cook his.
It was,
Yeah,
It
and
was
he's putting
great.
olives and spinach and all, and it's not cooked because it's gotta be wilted first or whatever, and it's not flipping, and it was
we were all done
basically-
eating, and Matt was still cooking.
It was an
Yeah.
egg, spinach, and olive casserole, and it was just
scrambled eggs.
yeah.
It
But
was a
he had
mess,
fun.
is what it was.
Hey, it's
Yeah.
all about the experience.
Oh, it was.
And
was
we
worth
didn't
the
eat
price
it,
of
but he
admission.
swears that it was good, but I don't think so. Anyway, stick to music, Matt. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say something and I completely forgot it.
Let's
But-
do more on the baptism that we keep in the back of the bus.
Well, that's more like an insider privilege. We don't
That's
tell
the only
people
comedy
about it.
line that's working today, though. So
Yeah.
don't take it away.
So there's actually one
Oh,
song.
I had a couple that worked on that.
Not
okay.
as good as the baptism.
There's one song that is not, strictly speaking, new. Yet it is new, and it kind of goes with what we've been talking about of changing words, or just things that weren't quite working. One of the first songs Caleb ever wrote was a song called "More," or "More Than My Everything." I don't remember which project it was on, but it was done way back when we were known as the Allen family. And so, if you look for it today, that's the only way you can find it if you type in that name. Now, we're the Allens, so you're not going to find it anymore. You're not going to find more anymore. But Caleb, like a lot of us, would try to write songs, and this was the first one that really worked. He wrote many after that we've done in other projects, but this one worked. And even though we liked the words, again, it's with the tracking and stuff. Way back then, we weren't as involved with it, and so the music would come back to us, and it just never became what we wanted it to be. And it was a good song; people liked it, and that was it. But whenever we were going to the vault to kind of see, like, should we rework some stuff, write some new stuff, cover somebody else's songs, we kind of take all of it and put it together. It was actually Matt Browder who looked at that song and said, there's something here. And he kind of reimagined the song to be less like the original cut had more of a big band kind of feel. And it was okay. It just didn't seem like it's what that song needed. And he even tweaked the words ever so slightly. Said, instead of this saying that, let's, trim a few words here and there. And so is it a new song? Sort of. It's a repackaged
remake.
song, but it's kind of what the song always needed to be. So it had come up short of its full potential, but now with this project,
Right.
More is what it should have been.
It's similar enough in that it has some of the same lyrical content, but it's different enough that we're not tired of singing it, because we sang it for a long, long time whenever we first introduced it in the original style that we sang it. But it's so different now that we actually enjoy singing the backups on this song as well. But it's got great words, good message, good content, and it speaks to the believer, because of all that the Lord has done for us. We want to give him more than what we can actually do in and of our own strength. And so it's a wonderful song. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Caleb, he actually got to be in the studio with us
Hmm.
for at least, I guess, he was there for the tracking
Tracking
session
session.
and the first day of the vocals.
Yeah.
So he is a guest vocalist on
Yeah.
one of the songs.
If
Yeah.
you listen
Kind
real
of like
close,
an assistant producer
yeah,
as well.
you might be able to recognize his voice on one or two songs just in the background. But yeah,
Yeah, the one just a little bit off. No, I'm just kidding about that. No, it's really, really good.
but yeah, he was also because he's a lot of people don't know Caleb has still been involved in what the Allens do behind
Yeah.
the scenes for
Well,
I mean,
ever
ever
he's
since-
been off the road.
yeah ever since he's been off the road, and it's always strange to think that now we've been touring so long without Caleb, without Gabrielle, and now just recently Jared and Abby. There's a lot of people that listen to us now and have listened to us for upwards of 5 to 6 or even 7 years. Don't know that Caleb used to travel with us, that Gabrielle used to travel with us. Like it used to be 10 people, So, but it's
look back
neat
at the old
to.
stuff.
Yeah, it's neat to have everybody still be involved. Jared is still very involved in what we do as well. Most of the people that watch us don't realize, but a lot of the stuff you see done behind the scenes, they still take part in. So yeah,
And if you follow us, you'll be able to catch them with us on the road sometime.
Yeah,
From here to there.
sometimes.
You just have to show up and see. You might see Abby, might see Jared, might see Caleb, might see Gabrielle. You just have
Yep.
to show up.
You might see the grandkids.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
Awesome.
So who wants to talk about crossover?
Crossover.
Looking at you
Why are you looking at me? I didn't sing it.
because you're
Well, I mean, I can
you're in
see
my
it.
direct eye line.
Crossover is another one Caleb wrote.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did that one.
Which did he like that one? I think he said he didn't like it.
Oh wait.
I didn't
think
like
he
it.
did.
I think one of them that we
You
did.
didn't like it, and you're the soloist.
I didn't like it the
yeah, it
first
was
time I heard it.
a really upbeat song
Yeah.
though.
But
I
then
think-
again, I don't
yeah.
like any song the first time I hear it. By the way, in fact, you can tell it's gonna be my favorite song if the first time I hear it, I don't like it. Every song has become my favorite song. I didn't like it the first time.
Beethoven's Fifth was like,
Yeah.
it's okay,
Mm.
whatever.
But anyway, yeah, I thought it was a fresh approach to a Bible story and the application that when Jesus tells his disciples to get in the boat and go to the other side, then it really didn't matter if it was calm sailing or if a storm came up, like the scripture said there was a storm that came. But when Jesus tells you to do something, you can be sure that it's going to get done because it's his will for it to be done. So I thought it was a neat play on the words. So when Jesus says crossover, you're going to make it to the other side. So I just have confidence that he has something for you to do and just get out and do it. But
Well, the overall feeling to it, I really like how the song came together because it's kind of a tribute to some of the quartet style music that we used to do, which we don't do nearly as much of anymore. But we used to be quite known for the 4-part male quartet sound. So this song has that homage in it, I guess. So anybody who's a fan of that traditional quartet music,
what
with
is
a little bit-
homage? What is that? Homage? or
Tribute.
not
It's like
homage?
tribute.
That
Homage.
is the question.
it's a special dish that they used to make in
Just say
Poland.
different.
They'd set out the homage for people.
the homage. How many
No,
of you
no,
do an
no.
homage?
I don't. I think those are two.
Am I the
different
only
words.
dummy here?
Homage.
It's a Polish dish.
They're definitely spelled the
Holy
same.
Set out the
shit.
homage.
Made
It's
with
not-
boiled
it's just-
potatoes
it's
and
potato
dillweed.
patata. It's you give homage to something. That's what
Okay,
he's saying.
homage.
It's
okay.
just the new way to say it.
Okay, so it's
I
homage
don't
spelled
think it's
with
the
an
new
A.
way to say it.
Okay, I got
So
it. I
whenever
saw it on
you,
paper, maybe.
It's the tomato of a song.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
That's not new.
That's
That's the way it was
song.
said to begin
I
with.
was going to say,
Homage.
Crossover's a really fun, fast song, so you wouldn't think that, it'd be a real deep song of ministry, but we're super particular about the words in our songs. We want everything to have, deep meaning. And that particular song, we've actually already had somebody come to us and tell us that in one of our concerts that of everything we sang, that was the song that spoke to them the most.
Really?
Whatever was going
Really?
on in their lives, they needed
Yeah.
to hear that Jesus said,
Yep.
cross over.
And that's
You're
that's
gonna
the
make
hope, even with the fun ones, because there's going to be a lot of great big, ballad type songs. There's going to be some slower ones that are more meditative. There's going to be ones that are just supposed to be big and fun. But once you listen to them enough and you have fun listening to them, that familiarity will eventually let you hear the message that's underlying everything, because it's all supposed to be about the message.
Mm-hmm.
We don't just do it for no, discernible reason. Otherwise, we'd sing some other kind of music, but we sing gospel music for a particular reason. So,
Right, but on that one in particular, with the male quartet nature of it, which, by the way, I'd say we kind of had retired the male quartet for a little while, and that's mainly because male quartet requires 4 parts.
looking at you.
And a tenor singer.
The 4th one was just not an option anymore because everybody here, well, you can hear my voice, I don't sing high. Christian had gotten to an age he couldn't do it anymore, so I don't know if we meant for that to be a male quartet to begin
didn't.
with.
That was John Rousey's idea. When we were sitting at lunch waiting on Matt to get done cooking his omelet, that's the song that was next. And that's when John said, let's try making it a male quartet. And we went, we don't have the right vocals for that. And he looked at Christian and he said, oh, just do it. It's just one song.
And
you
John,
can still hit the notes.
John created a little bit of a problem because towards the end, it goes, we'll make it to the others. It goes up. And he's already doing his best to get it all. And that note was just not going to be hit that day. So John says, well, why don't you go in there? I'm singing the melody line on it, or the lead, and hit the note. And I said, if he can't hit the note, I can't hit the note. He said, just try it. I said, okay. If you want it to sound ridiculous, but if it comes across, I'll be happy. You pitch it up in post. So I sat there, he goes, when Jesus says cross over. And this is the first time, and you'll hear it live if you come see us, that I have incorporated a mixed voice together. And I felt wonderful because when I got there, I went, yeah, Megan. I was expecting it to go, but it sounded like I had just smashed through a wall.
It was your
gotten
homage.
to the other side.
It was your homage.
It was the weirdest thing. I'd never done it before.
It's like all the pilots that tried to break the sound barrier, and then the planes kept disintegrating. But eventually that one broke the sound barrier.
I was just floating over.
I'm gonna just say you have to hear it.
He did it great. He does
it.
it great.
You just have to hear it to hear it.
I don't know what you guys
It
are
was
talking
good.
about. I don't think that.
It turned out
there was
great,
any
and John
problem.
Rousey had a great idea, and it worked. And he is a phenomenal arranger. So, I love doing that song on stage.
I love doing that song on stage.
I bet you do.
I love singing that song on stage.
I like it better than you do.
You'll make it to the other side.
But you will.
I'm kind of like this. I could have done the tenor on that song.
We had thought about putting it down there so the tenor would be there, but
Yeah,
It kind of loses
and that would have been me, and the rest of y'all would have been lower.
Consequently, there's only one male quartet song on
Just
the album.
the one.
Yeah.
Just the one.
Now we've alluded to cover songs. We don't typically try to do too many, although Vocal Experience was more or less predominantly cover songs. It was all cover songs. Power had about almost a 50-50 split. This only has two songs that other artists have done that we wanted to kind of take in, make our own, but not make too different from why people like them in the first place. Because you want to be careful, because you want it to be distinctly you or distinctly how the Allens would do it. But if it's too different, then people who like the original version of the song, they're not going to like it anymore. So it's a fine line to walk. But anybody want to talk about those two?
Well, we chose them really because both of them speak to our family. I mean, one of them is He Worthy? And ever since that was released a few years ago, it's been a favorite. It's been on my playlist and several of your other playlists, and it's a favorite song just to put you in the right mood for worship.
And
So
many of our
we love
friends,
it.
people who know us, would call us or text us and say, have you heard this song? Have you heard this song? And it ministered to them, and they were basically saying, we would love for you to sing this song because we know it fits your family. And whenever we heard it, we couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It was a great song, worshipful, meaningful, and it's really an addition to this project, I think.
Yes, it is.
Literally since 2018, we were trying to do this song. We were in the studio recording Vocal Experience, and we had people on the phones trying to get permissions to do the song. The song was brand new, and whenever a song is brand new, typically rights to do it, to sing it if you're not the original artist. That they don't release those for the first year, and so we were trying to get some kind of special permission to do it, and that it just didn't happen for Vocal Experience. And for some reason, whenever we were recording Power,
We didn't even try.
yeah,
Yeah.
we weren't thinking about it, but we kind of brought it back, that idea of doing it, and it took different forms. It was going to be much longer. It was going to combine different songs together, but once we considered it, we're like, it doesn't really need more. It is what it is. It doesn't need to be extremely different. It doesn't need extra songs added to it or mixed throughout it. The song is already almost perfect in just where it was written.
Yeah. So it's a great addition.
Yep.
Yeah, and the other one that we chose, again, is just a very familiar worship song from the last, decade or two. I don't know how old it is. It's not that old.
I don't think
Yeah, it's
20
not
years old.
exceedingly old, but I think it's around 6 to 7 years, maybe.
Yeah,
8.
people love the song though, and that's What a Beautiful Name. And so it's one of my favorites. It's a favorite of some of your other siblings who are not on the road with us anymore. And so we just felt like it would be a good one for the album, and it actually has turned out better live than I think any of us anticipated. It works really well in live settings.
Yeah, I've been blown away by how that song just developed. I didn't think it was going to be all that good, even when we were doing it in the studio. I liked it. I just wasn't catching the vision for how the song was going to be until we did it live for the first time with the arrangement that we'd worked on. And it really did blow me away. I was like, where has this been?
I know,
Did I
yeah.
not hear this before? But yeah, it's really quite cool.
And it's interesting because there's some songs that you can hear in your head that have been written, no music, no vocal arrangement. You just know like this is going to be good. And then there's others that it really takes hearing all the pieces come together for you to be like, yeah, this was good, But again, that's why we gotta take your hat off to the talented people involved.
Right.
Our producers, our arrangers, the instrumentalist, everybody here, even Caleb and others, that we would send our, ideas out to and get, their feedback, to put together this project, because it's not each individual song basically is not the work of one person. It's everybody kind of giving a little bit of feedback saying, maybe it's this line, maybe it's this part, maybe it's this instrument,
It's
let's
a great
mix
collaborative effort.
Yeah.
Really.
Which
Lots
is
of
really
people
good
involved.
because there's a lot of songs that are good in the lyrics, but the presentation, if it's just a guitar or if it's just a piano, the presentation makes the song fall flat. But there are songs like these that we're talking about that, with the right instrumentation behind it, helps to build and bring the lyric even to the forefront, and just it's a worshipful listening experience for those who are listening to the song, and it's just amazing. I love it. I love the whole project.
Yeah.
I think
We haven't
the
even
best
talked
that we've
about
ever
I
done.
Am Free yet, because that's another one that I listened to. It's like, oh, okay, it's okay, whatever. And then whenever they sent us the cut of it, it was like, oh wow, that was it. That was great. That's one of the best songs on the whole project.
You always look at your project and you look at your list. Everybody kind of throws in different songs that they like, and we kind of, because our thing is, if it can't minister to us, it can't minister through us. So everybody has their songs that they send to Michelle, and she just kind of take the top ones, and then we kind of narrow down the number and say, of these, which ones do you like the best? And so there's always the top, 5, and then there's the 10 that we're going to select. And so even when you get to the last 10, you've got a good number of quality songs. But even with a bunch of good songs, you're going to have the underdog of the project.
Usually.
And
Always.
it seemed like I Am Free was like the underdog of the project. It's not the first time that I've submitted. This is an original song that I wrote.
Yeah.
I've actually sent a song years and years ago to the Lesters, and they recorded it, and they actually put it in the paper, the Singing News, that this song was the underdog of their project, and it became the second most requested
Yeah.
song that they had ever sung, and sang it for like 12 years in a row. But this is kind
Amazing
of
Grace.
Yeah,
Underdog.
it was an
Yeah.
underdog.
How
No,
sweet the sound.
I kind of remember the first time you wrote that song. One, that wasn't the name of it back when you wrote it. It was a different name, and it kind of got thrown around a little bit. I think it's before we even were deciding to do this project with Matt, and then we kind of left it for dead. I don't remember what happened with it, but like
didn't
everybody
like
had just
it.
said like, not specifically that.
Look at
one.
what they've done to my
It's
song.
like not
And
this
then-
style, Dad. No.
Then it came back. It was resurrected, and we did it. But it's really a classic case of why you need a good mixer. And we haven't talked a lot about our mixer on this project, Barry Weeks.
Yeah.
But there are instruments on the cut
He's good
of I
mixing
Am
it.
Free. He's mixing it. That weren't in the tracking session. They're computer
Mhm.
instruments.
Yeah.
And you'll hear that throughout. You won't know how to peg which one it is because you didn't hear the tracking stuff. But you'll hear adjustment and new instruments put into it, and specifically on the breakdown section of
Yeah.
I Am Free, the kind of the
Right.
I can't clap my hands because apparently it picks up on the thing over there. But like, there's a
Add it
clapping
later,
section.
right?
You just
Yeah.
have to imagine what it sounds
Yeah.
like if I was doing it like that. And then some new guitar things I think were added to it, like
Yeah,
the
something
whole
like that.
thing. Like it was a
It's great.
So yeah, just
It's great road music. It sounds like this is the song I want to listen
Yeah.
to when I'm just driving down the road going on a trip.
well, and it just shows the process because again, like at that point, the song was recorded, everything was done. So it goes from you writing it, and it goes from John arranging it, and it goes from Matt producing it, from the track to the vocals and everything, and it's good. You know, it's a great song. But then it goes all the way to Barry to put it all together, all those pieces, and he hears something, that, goes in there to complete it, make everything click and mesh, and makes the song.
Yeah. And for the listener who maybe has never heard the artist before, will hear a song for the first time. And the original title for the song was No Condemnation, right? And so the condemnation and all
It's
that
kinda
just kind of had
negative.
more of a negative type.
It's also
thing
a
for
very
somebody
long
who's like
word.
reading No Condemnation. But I Am Free is kind of positive, so
And the
we
song
actually
sounds
changed the name of it. But those who are primarily our audience are Christian people will be familiar with Romans 8:1. There is therefore now no condemnation to them who are in Christ Jesus. And so just to hear that, there's already a point of reference that they can identify with the music that's being sung. And if it's true in their life, they can rejoice in the fact that I am free in Jesus. There's no condemnation that is going to come my way. And so to have good scriptural content in a song and be able to deliver it with spiritual conviction, I believe is a recipe for a good song. And
Yeah.
so I like it. I love it.
Mhm. Well, so this I think is probably the best music we've ever put together, and
Hands down, I think it's the best. I
Yeah.
mean, it was just been really good.
well, we want to give all the glory to God for
Yeah.
just how it turned out, but also what's going to happen with it. We'll be praying. We want you guys to be praying with us about just the different people that are going to hear this project around the world, even,
Yeah.
and that it's used to further the kingdom. It's called Kingdom Come for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's all about that. So, yeah, we're excited, and this is some good music that you're going to be blessed by. You're going to enjoy, and I think you'll listen to it over and over and over again on October the 28th, 2023.
Coming up.
But my question:
Exciting.
if we're all back here, who's driving the bus?
Dun dun.
Do you know?
I am.
Okay, so
If people are watching this long into this this kind
I think we're
of
done.
around the
Yeah, I
horn
think we're
type
done.
thing.
Are we still
No, I mean,
Around the
cut it
horn
there.
has
Where's that
the
still
ability to
going?
rate if people are good or not, and I think that would make it a lot
I
easier.
mean, we haven't started yet, so
Besides, you just cut off that. I want to know.
But
what you
Somebody
said.
push
Go ahead.
record so we can
Okay,
get this
go
thing
ahead.
Can we
going.
do
What were
it
you
in
gonna
around
say?
the
now that
horn way?
now that we all know how we're going to do it, let's start.
Exactly. So I just wondered,
I would just
how many
shoot
of you saw
if
that
I had a gun.
saw that look of disdain on my joke on Hands Down over there? That little homage of people's facial expressions
that's supposed to clap.
back
word
towards
all the
me.
time now.
Actually,
Discernment.
really, I didn't really clap. Right
Did you
there.
hear
I
about
was
my-
just
It's a different
little bit.
thing. It's
Did
a
I
different
tell you last
context.
night about my pet termite, Clint?
No.
I did, though.
Clint eats wood.
Oh yeah, she
Hilarious.
Somebody's
Somebody's
getting
ringing.
called.
hilarious. But
Whose phone is buzzing?
But really, yeah, I've got a phone buzzing right now. But I'll wait and answer that
Yes, answer
call
the phone.
because
No, it's not
you
mine, it's
are
his,
more
but I gotta
important.
move.
No, really, if you've kind of stayed with us through this recording, then probably
Answer your phone.
I said I'm not going to answer the phone.
They're gonna hang up.
I told him I wasn't
Sorry,
going to.
all I can hear is-
I haven't even
sorry.
aired this yet.
All I can hear is folks over here that are bzz, 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 and other bzz. It sounds like you have a beehive in your pants. What is?
Ow! Ow!
That's
Ow!
all right.
Would you please finish your statement?
Well, I don't
Sweet.
know if it can be as seriously received as I wanted to deliver it before the bees began to invade.
Like you're in one of those old timey science labs, and there's this thing going.
Finish your statement, please.
No, I think it's a little bit too spiritual for the atmosphere
Okay,
that we
go
have
ahead.
right now. So it's probably
And if we know
all
anything
this
about
stuff.
spirituality,
Go
it's
ahead.
that you can't
Finish
have any
your
fun.
spiritual statement. This is a different cut. Finish your spiritual statement.
So anyway, if you have stayed with us throughout this recording, Zach is time. Zach is time. That's awesome.
Who is this?
What do you want?
Okay,
I'm so buzzed out.
we have finished your
Buzz
statement.
Lightyear.
Okay, go ahead.
I dare you. Go ahead.
He's got his finger on the callback button.
Go ahead.
Oh, that's great. So if you're stayed,
If you're stayed,
so if
you're stayed
with
upon
us
the
throughout-
word.
if you stayed with us through this whole recording, it's because you know our family and you believe in us, and we appreciate all of your prayers for us. But we've got a project now that's one of the best that we've ever done, and we have been praying that God would allow this message of these songs to go as far as they possibly can, and He can do that. So we want you to join with us. We not only want you to have a copy of the project, and hear what we're talking about, how excited we are about this music, but we want you to pray with us that the message of these songs can be far-reaching and touch people with the gospel. The kingdom of God is coming, and we want people to be ready.